The space station hung silently above the blue and green planet, like a metal crown floating in the void. Its massive towers glimmered with alien lights, and the observation halls were crowded with beings of shapes and colors that no human imagination could truly grasp. Tentacles twined through the air, eyes rotated in multiple directions, scales shimmered under artificial lights, and voices echoed in strange, musical tones. This was the grand assembly of the Zereth Empire, and today they were gathered to watch a human. A single human. He was small, unarmed, and very ordinary by any standard the aliens could understand. Yet, despite their laughter and murmurs, he moved with calm certainty. His name was Jalen, a beekeeper from a quiet planet far from the bustling cores of galactic civilization. In his world, he raised not bees but dragons. Tiny dragons, fragile-looking yet strangely majestic, who had grown under his care. And today they were with him. The alien spectators tilted their heads in amusement. "Why send a weakling?" one of the Zereth counselors hissed through a multi-tongued voice. "He cannot even lift one of our simplest machines." Another, its eyes glowing violet, clicked in laughter, sending vibrations across the hall. "A human? And you expect them to survive here?" Jalen said nothing. He didn't even flinch. Around him, his dragons moved freely. Two of them perched delicately on a railing, their wings folded but shimmering like polished gemstones. One, a pale golden hue with tiny spines along its back, circled him silently, its soft claws clicking on the metal floor. Another, dark blue with streaks of silver, fluttered its wings with the grace of a dancer. They were beautiful. They were deadly. But the aliens could not see that yet. The laughter grew louder. Tentacled aliens waved their limbs in mockery. "Look at him," a three-eyed creature whispered, its voice trembling with ridicule. "He does not even command respect from his own pets." The word pets caused a ripple of chuckles across the hall. Jalen remained quiet. He tilted his head slightly and let the dragons move around him. One dragon nudged his shoulder, its tiny scales warm against his hand. Another brushed past his legs, tail flicking playfully. The aliens expected fear or anger or any human reaction, but not this calmness. Then Jalen spoke. The words came out smooth, precise, and clear, in perfect galactic standard. The language that every counselor in the room spoke, the one used for diplomacy, for command, for negotiations spanning hundreds of star systems. It rolled off his tongue naturally, almost as if he had been born speaking it. "Greetings, counselors," he said, his voice calm, yet carrying a strength that could not be ignored. "I am Jalen, and these are my companions. I am honored to meet you all." The hall fell completely silent. The laughter stopped mid-vibration. Tentacles froze, wings paused, and eyes turned toward him, blinking in disbelief. One alien counselor even knocked over its ceremonial cup, its tendrils shaking uncontrollably. The smallest dragon hopped onto Jalen's shoulder and peered at the aliens with intelligent curiosity, wings quivering. The largest dragon stretched its wings slightly, the air shimmering around it as if the very atoms knew this was no ordinary human. "What did he say?" one alien whispered to another, its voice cracking. He spoke in galactic standard," the other stammered. "Yes," Jalen said, his voice still calm. "And I understand more than words. I know the rules of your games, your strategies, and the way you underestimate small beings. I am here to show you that humans are not so simple." A low hum of tension spread through the hall. The aliens exchanged glances, unsure of how to react. They had never seen a human like this. The stories of human weakness and small size had filled the galaxy for centuries. Now, one small human, standing among delicate dragons, had shattered their assumptions with a single, simple sentence. The dragons made soft sounds, almost musical, their scales catching the alien lights. Their movements were deliberate, graceful, and synchronized with Jalen's calm posture. It was as if they understood the power of restraint, that strength did not need to shout or strike to be feared. An alien ambassador, its body shaped like a twisting column of metal and light, floated forward. "You speak Fluently, it said, its voice quivering with curiosity and fear. How is this possible? Jalen smiled faintly, his eyes scanning the room, meeting the gaze of hundreds of eyes. I have learned to listen, he said simply. And my dragons, they listen too. We do not need to rely on force. Intelligence, trust, and understanding. These are the true weapons. The council murmured among themselves. Some leaned closer, intrigued. Others recoiled, uncertain and wary. For the first time in recorded history, the Zareth Empire felt doubt about a human. Perhaps, another alien said, a large one with crystalline arms that refracted light. We have been mistaken about your species. Jalen nodded slightly, not boastful, just calm. Mistakes are easy when one only looks at size or shape. Look closer, and you might see the strength that hides in the smallest forms. He gestured subtly, and the dragons responded instantly. The golden one leaped into the air, spinning in a perfect arc, wings reflecting light across the hall. The dark blue dragon emitted a low, resonant hum that made the very metal walls vibrate softly. Aliens shuffled back instinctively. This was no display of violence, yet it was undeniable power. One alien finally spoke, its voice trembling. Your dragons. They are alive, yes, but they are remarkable. They obey you completely? They trust me, Jalen corrected gently. Trust is stronger than obedience, and trust is earned, not demanded. My dragons and I are partners. Together we survive. Together we succeed. The silence was thick, almost suffocating. Every alien present felt it, the unmistakable certainty that this human and his dragons were unlike anything in their experience. They had mocked him, laughed at him, and expected weakness. Instead, they saw composure, control, and an unspoken warning. Do not underestimate humans. A ripple of unease spread across the assembly. Tentacles twitched nervously. Eyes blinked rapidly. Even the mechanical observers, drones of intricate alien design, seemed to hesitate, unsure how to record this unprecedented moment. Jalen stepped forward slightly, dragons following in quiet synchronicity. I am not here to fight, he said, voice steady. I am here to show what humans can do when underestimated. And I hope, by the end of this visit, you will no longer laugh at the small and the seemingly weak. Power is measured in many ways, not only in size, not only in strength, but in thought, loyalty, and understanding. A counselor hissed through its mask of chitin. He speaks boldly for a human, and he commands creatures we do not even understand. Yes, Jalen replied softly, because I do not command them, I care for them, and that makes all the difference. A pause followed, a long, heavy pause. Aliens whispered among themselves, shifting in unease. Some eyes narrowed. Some tilted in curiosity. Even the most arrogant laughed quietly to themselves, but it was a nervous laugh, unsure and tentative. Jalen took a deep breath. If you wish to judge humans, come to my world. Observe us, but do not mock what you do not understand. You might be surprised how small beginnings can hold immense power. The golden dragon leaped onto his hand, resting there like a crown. The dark blue dragon hovered above, wings catching light, shimmering, almost as if it were daring the aliens to make the first move. The aliens were frozen. The laughter had died completely. Their mockery had turned to silence. In that silence, Jalen and his dragons radiated calm, quiet strength. They were small, but their presence filled the room with something much larger than size alone could measure. Intelligence, unity, and an undeniable spark of something no alien could fully grasp. And in that instant, the first lesson of humanity became clear to every alien watching. Never, ever underestimate what appears small or weak. The human beekeeper smiled, dragons at his side, and for the first time in the Grand Assembly's long history, the aliens were afraid. Not of violence, not of weapons, but of what humans might do next. The quiet hum of Jalen's dragon-filled planet was a stark contrast to the alien laughter that had echoed across the space station. On the surface, the world looked ordinary. Rolling hills of soft green, forests filled with trees that seemed to shimmer faintly under the twin suns, and rivers that sparkled like liquid crystal. But beneath this gentle beauty lay something extraordinary. Jalen walked through the meadows, dragons circling him like loyal guards. Their wings brushed the air softly, leaving trails of faint glimmers behind them. They were small, yes, but every movement, every glance, carried intelligence far beyond what any alien could imagine. "Stay close," Jalen murmured, voice calm and even. The dragons responded immediately, aligning themselves with his steps. It was not obedience. It was understanding. On the distant space station, the alien council could not stop talking about what they had seen. "That human," one of the crystal-limbed aliens whispered, "he speaks galactic standard like a master. And those dragons, they are not simple pets. They are dangerous." Back on the planet, Jalen's dragons were not just pets, either. The golden dragon, small but agile, tapped a small rock with its claws, and the stone jumped back as if it had been alive. The dark blue dragon hovered above a patch of grass, its eyes glowing faintly. Wherever it looked, tiny waves of energy passed through the ground. A soft vibration ran through the soil, affecting plants and even insects, aligning them subtly with the dragon's movements. Jalen knelt down near the golden dragon. "Show them," he whispered softly. The dragon nodded, as if it understood exactly what he meant. It tilted its head toward a small alien probe that had accidentally fallen from a passing scout ship. Its claws hovered, then tapped lightly, and the probe spun in midair, scanning harmlessly. It was a simple display, yet it was proof of something no alien had ever seen. Humans and their dragons could interact with technology in ways that were quiet, subtle, and completely precise. The dark blue dragon hummed a low note, and a strange ripple ran through the nearby water. Leaves swirled gently, patterns forming that seemed almost intentional, like a language written by the wind. Jalen smiled. "They are learning faster than anyone expects." Indeed, the dragons were not just intelligent. They were learning, adapting, and forming a partnership with Jalen that was beyond comprehension. They responded to his thoughts almost before he spoke, anticipating actions, predicting dangers, and protecting him in ways that were silent but deadly. Suddenly, a bright light appeared in the sky. A small alien vessel had detected the human planet and was hovering silently, scanning. The dragons stiffened immediately, wings spreading instinctively. Jalen raised his hand calmly. "No harm. Observe only." The dragons relaxed, and the ship hesitated, as if confused by the lack of hostility. The aliens aboard the vessel were curious and cautious. On the space station, they had expected the human to be weak. But now, watching from afar, even their scanners could detect the unusual energy emanating from the dragons. It was subtle but unmistakable. A pattern of intelligence, coordination, and something almost alive in a way their instruments had never recorded. The golden dragon perched on Jalen's shoulder and leaned forward. Its tiny claws brushed against his cheek gently. "We are ready," Jalen whispered. "Let them see what we truly are." A sudden ripple of sound passed through the forest. Jalen's dragons released a series of low, melodic hums. It was not loud, not aggressive, but it carried weight. Plants around them moved slightly, responding to vibrations. Rocks and small metal fragments nearby shifted as if acknowledging the dragon's presence. Even distant alien sensors picked up subtle patterns of energy. Back on the space station, one alien counselor froze mid-sentence. "Do you feel that?" it asked, voice tight. "Their influence extends beyond the immediate area." "How is that possible?" Jalen and his dragons continued their quiet demonstration. The golden dragon hopped onto a nearby stone and tapped gently with its tail. The stone rolled, aligned itself perfectly with a distant shadow, and rested there. The dark blue dragon hovered above, wings flaring slightly, and the water in the nearby stream formed delicate patterns that seemed intentional. The aliens observing from afar were stunned. None of their calculations had predicted this. They expected a small human, perhaps clever, perhaps lucky, but not this. Not the subtle control of the environment. Not the unspoken communication between human and dragon. Not the quiet but undeniable proof that humans could manipulate the world around them in ways that defied alien understanding. This is impossible, muttered a tentacled alien, its voice trembling. They are not merely intelligent. They are adaptive. Another finished, voice soft with fear. They can think faster than our calculations. And their dragons, they are like extensions of their minds. Jalen noticed the alien vessel hovering above, watching, calculating. He raised his hand again, not threateningly, but with quiet authority. "Come closer," he said in Galactic Standard. "See clearly. Do not rely on assumptions. What you think is small is stronger than you imagine." The aliens hesitated. None had ever been invited by a human to observe so closely. They hovered, scanning, unsure of how to interpret the readings. Their instruments detected energy patterns that did not match anything in their databases. Their eyes and sensors could see the dragon's movements, but could not comprehend the subtle intelligence behind them. Jalen's dragons moved with precision. A low hum from the blue dragon created vibrations that synchronized with the golden dragon's taps on rocks. Trees swayed slightly, leaves fluttering in perfect unison. Water rippled in patterns of flowing symbols. The display was not aggressive, but it was mesmerizing. It was a quiet proof that humans, no matter how small, could command forces that aliens had never imagined. The golden dragon chirped softly and turned to Jalen, eyes bright and intelligent. "They are learning," he whispered, "and they are afraid." Indeed, the alien observers were afraid. They had mocked humans, laughed at their weakness, and assumed superiority. Now, they realized that they had underestimated a species that could not only survive but thrive through intelligence, adaptability, and partnership with creatures that defied their understanding. Jalen smiled faintly. "This is only the beginning," he said, voice calm but filled with hidden strength. "They have yet to see what humans can truly do." The dragons hovered and landed gracefully beside him, their presence radiating confidence. The planet around them, seemingly ordinary, now seemed alive with potential. For the first time, the aliens watching from a distance felt that the human and his dragons were not just beings, they were a force. A quiet, patient, intelligent force that could not be ignored. And in that moment, the first real fear of humanity spread across the galaxy. Not because humans were violent or aggressive, but because they were clever, adaptable, and unpredictable. A human with dragons was not merely a curiosity. He was a warning. The Grand Hall of the Zareth Council was massive beyond imagination. Its walls shimmered with living crystals that reflected every color in the galaxy. Suspended platforms floated above the center, carrying dozens of alien counselors whose shapes and forms made human eyes ache to follow. Some had dozens of eyes, others had no visible eyes at all. Some shifted constantly, like liquid, while others were rigid and metallic, their limbs clicking in synchronized rhythms. And now, at the center of this hall, a single human stood. Jalen, the beekeeper with dragons, walked forward, his small frame dwarfed by the alien grandeur. Behind him, the golden and blue dragons hovered calmly, their eyes scanning the alien dignitaries with quiet intelligence. The council erupted with murmurs. Many had underestimated humans before, but now it was clear that this one human was extraordinary. He had spoken Galactic Standard flawlessly, commanded dragons with precision, and shown subtle power that no instrument could measure. The counselors were curious but wary. "You dare come here," hissed a crystalline counselor, its voice vibrating through the hall. "After your display, after showing such power, do you think you can stand among us?" Jalen tilted his head, calm as ever. "I do not wish to stand among you," he said. "I wish only to prove that humans, even small ones, are worthy of respect." A low rumble of discontent passed through the platforms. "Proof?" another alien questioned. "We have already seen your dragons' tricks. They are clever, yes, but a display of power is not proof of intelligence or strength." Jalen nodded slowly. "Then allow me to demonstrate, not by force, but by skill and thought." The council grew tense. A challenge was rare in the Galactic Court. Normally, only the most powerful species or the most cunning negotiators were granted such an opportunity. For a human to request it, it was unheard of. Some counselors leaned forward in curiosity, while others whispered warnings to each other. "You will face our trials," a tentacled alien finally said, its many eyes narrowing. "If you succeed, we may reconsider our opinion of your species. If you fail..." It let the threat hang unspoken but clear. Jalen's dragons shifted slightly behind him. The golden one brushed its tail along the floor, and the dark blue one hovered silently, wings flaring in anticipation. Jalen raised his hand gently. "I do not fear failure. I learn from it, as do my dragons." The first trial began immediately. The council projected a holographic maze into the hall, a shifting labyrinth filled with alien traps, moving walls, and floating obstacles. Counselors' eyes glinted with expectation. They assumed Jalen would panic or fail. He stepped forward slowly. His dragons flitted around him, observing carefully. The golden dragon hopped onto a floating platform and touched a glowing orb with its claw. The orb shifted, triggering a subtle change in the maze. The dark blue dragon hummed softly, creating a vibration that caused the walls of the labyrinth to adjust slightly, opening a small path for Jalen to move forward. The aliens watched in stunned silence. Every action was precise, deliberate, and unforced. Jalen's movements were slow and calm, but every step was perfect. He navigated the maze with the dragon's assistance, not as slaves, but as partners. The humans' and dragons' teamwork was flawless. "Impossible," whispered one alien, its crystalline arms quivering. "They adapt faster than any simulation, faster than any logic we calculated." The second trial followed immediately. Counselors unleashed a series of complex puzzles, alien artifacts floating midair, shifting and rotating, each requiring understanding of energy flows, spatial patterns, and logic that even some of the counselors struggled to master. Jalen studied each puzzle quietly, observing patterns. His dragons hovered near him, eyes glowing faintly. The golden dragon tapped lightly on an artifact, triggering a subtle realignment of its energy field. The dark blue dragon hummed in resonance, guiding the flow like a conductor leading an orchestra. The puzzles began to solve themselves. The council gasped. Every trap meant to confuse or intimidate him became a showcase of ingenuity. The human and his dragons worked together seamlessly, combining observation, intelligence, and subtle influence. No brute force, no loud displays, just quiet, intelligent problem-solving. A crystalline counselor floated closer, its multiple eyes narrowing. "This human, he does not act as others do. He thinks differently, adapts differently. And those dragons, are they extensions of his mind?" Jalen looked at it calmly. "Not extensions," he said simply. "Partners. They think, yes, but we share understanding. We respect one another. That is the difference between intelligence and mere strength." The third trial was the most dangerous. The council unleashed a simulated combat scenario, lightning-fast attacks, moving platforms, energy barriers, and projections of alien predators. Aliens expected Jalen to be overwhelmed, even killed. He smiled faintly. "Then let's begin." The dragons moved with him, creating openings, shielding him with precise motions. The golden dragon darted between attacks, nudging obstacles out of his path. The dark blue dragon's wings generated subtle gusts, redirecting energy flows and guiding Jalen safely through the most dangerous areas. Every movement was elegant, deliberate, and effective. The council's silence was deafening. They had seen humans fight before, clumsy, weak, relying on simple weapons. But this was intelligence in motion. A human had turned a trial designed for the strongest species into a demonstration of calm, precise strategy. Finally, the trials ended. The council waited, breathless, for what would happen next. The simulations stopped. The hall was quiet, except for the soft flutter of dragon wings. Jalen stood calmly, dragons at his side. Not a scratch marred him. Not a bead of sweat fell. Yet his presence was commanding, undeniable, and filled the hall with quiet power. A long pause followed. Then, a crystalline voice spoke, shaking slightly. We underestimated you. This is not possible. How can a single human succeed where our calculations predicted failure? Jalen's smile was faint but confident. You fail to see the strength of the small, the power of understanding, and the intelligence that comes from working with those who are different. Humans are not weak because we are small. We are strong because we think, adapt, and unite. The council murmured among themselves, their whispers filled with awe and fear. Some counselors leaned closer, studying Jalen with new respect. Others withdrew, uncertain and wary, realizing that humans were not what they had always assumed. And in that quiet moment, the first real recognition of humanity spread across the galactic court. Not through brute force, not through weapons or fear, but through intelligence, cleverness, and the quiet, undeniable strength of partnership. Jalen's dragons flitted around him once more, signaling the end of the trials. The golden dragon chirped softly, and the blue dragon hummed in low resonance, a harmonious signal of completion. The council had been challenged. They had watched a human face impossible trials, navigate complex puzzles, and survive simulated combat, all with nothing but his mind and his dragons. And now they were forced to admit a simple truth. Humans, even small and unassuming, could rise to levels no alien had predicted. Jalen nodded to the council calmly. The trials are over, he said. I hope you have learned that strength is measured in more ways than you imagined, and that a human, no matter how small, can accomplish what seems impossible. The room fell silent again. Eyes, limbs, and tendrils twitched nervously. Whispers passed through the platforms, but no laughter came. Not anymore. Today, humans had earned more than respect. They had earned fear, the quiet, thoughtful kind, born from realizing one had underestimated an opponent. Jalen and his dragons turned slowly and left the center of the hall. Each step, each flutter of wings, radiated confidence and calm power. The council watched in stunned silence, still struggling to comprehend what had just happened. And in that moment, the first true warning to the galaxy had begun. Humanity was clever, adaptable, and unpredictable. And no alien, no matter how powerful, should ever think otherwise. The moment the Grand Hall of the Zareth Council ended its trials, whispers of disbelief rippled through the chambers. But the aliens were not yet finished testing the human. They had seen his intelligence, his calm precision, and his partnership with dragons, but now they wanted to see strength in motion. They wanted chaos, unpredictability, and perhaps to humiliate him for good measure. Jalen stepped onto the observation platform, dragons hovering around him like guardians. The aliens activated the next trial. A vast holographic arena appeared, stretching farther than the eye could see. Jagged metal cliffs floated in midair, rivers of plasma hissed and twisted around narrow bridges, and energy beams shot across pathways, shifting unpredictably. Projections of alien predators filled the space, creatures designed to test reflexes, courage, and quick thinking. The council leaned forward, anticipating his failure. They assumed this human, clever as he might be, would be outmatched by the speed and danger of this trial. Jalen glanced at his dragons. The golden one flitted ahead, scanning the arena carefully. Its wings beat with grace, eyes glowing faintly as it measured distances and energy patterns. The dark blue dragon hovered above, humming softly, wings creating small gusts that subtly shifted energy flows, making obstacles more manageable. Without hesitation, Jalen stepped forward. The arena reacted immediately. Floating platforms tilted, beams of energy snapped, and holographic predators lunged toward him. But the dragons moved with him seamlessly. The golden dragon darted to intercept a plasma stream, nudging it just enough to clear a path. The dark blue dragon's hum resonated through the metal air, redirecting floating debris that threatened to crush him. The aliens watched, astonished. Every movement was fluid, precise, and intentional. The human was not merely surviving. He was controlling the trial without aggression, turning danger into opportunity. Impossible, whispered a counselor with multiple crystalline arms. He adapts faster than any simulation, faster than any prediction. How? Jalen focused, calculating each step. He reached a narrow bridge where energy beams crisscrossed unpredictably. The golden dragon tapped lightly on a nearby platform. The bridge shifted slightly, opening a perfect path for him. The dark blue dragon's wings created a small air current that deflected a plasma bolt aimed at him. He moved forward without haste, calm, confident, and aware of every danger around him. Then the predators struck. Holographic alien beasts lunged from every angle, their claws and teeth designed to overwhelm. The golden dragon leapt into the air, intercepting the nearest predator, its claws guiding it away from Jalen with careful precision. The dark blue dragon spun above, wings flaring, creating subtle energy waves that disoriented the remaining attackers. The council gasped. They had never seen a human coordinate with creatures so perfectly. Every move, every adjustment was a dance of intelligence and trust. It was not brute force, it was strategy, timing, and partnership. One counselor whispered urgently to another, "They are not just reacting. They are controlling the situation. The dragons anticipate, adjust, and act as one with the human. This is extraordinary." Jalen reached the center of the arena. Floating platforms hovered dangerously close, streams of plasma surrounded him, and predators circled like deadly shadows. Yet he smiled faintly. He raised his hand, and the golden dragon tapped the largest predator lightly on its back. The creature froze, then turned and floated away harmlessly. The dark blue dragon hummed, and a ripple passed through the arena, shifting the energy beams into harmless arcs. The aliens were silent, mesmerized. Their trial had been turned upside down. What they intended as a test of human weakness had become a display of precision, control, and calm dominance. "This cannot be," a tentacled alien muttered. "They are controlling everything without force. It's impossible." Jalen's smile widened slightly. "It is not impossible," he said softly. "It is understanding. Strength is not only in size or weapons. It is in knowing how to move, when to act, and who to trust." The dragons hovered near him, wings flaring, eyes glowing with intelligence. Every step, every flap, every hum was a demonstration of their bond. They were not tools, they were partners. They moved as one with him, turning what should have been chaos into a ballet of controlled power. The council realized the truth. This human had turned their dangerous arena into a display of quiet supremacy. No alien species had ever been so efficient, so precise, with such subtle yet undeniable influence over the environment. The arena itself seemed alive under Jalen's and the dragon's command. A sudden challenge arose. A giant holographic predator, larger than anything the council had seen, appeared at the far end of the arena. Its glowing eyes scanned the platform, claws extended, energy rippling from its body. The council expected panic. They expected a falter, a retreat, perhaps failure. Jalen did not move. His dragons flared their wings, creating a protective rhythm in the air. The golden dragon darted forward, weaving between the predator's strikes, nudging its movements with precision. The dark blue dragon hummed, its resonance rippling through the holographic energy, causing the predator to hesitate, confused. With calm steps, Jalen advanced. Each stride was measured. Each breath was steady. The predator lunged, but the dragon's coordination guided it harmlessly past him. Slowly, deliberately, Jalen approached until he was close enough to touch the massive holographic beast. He extended a hand. The golden dragon chirped softly. The predator froze, then backed away completely, retreating into the air like a shadow dissolving into nothing. The aliens were frozen. They had witnessed a single human, with two dragons, outmaneuver and neutralize a trial that was meant to destroy him. Laughter, mockery, and confidence had been replaced with fear, awe, and disbelief. Jalen looked at the council calmly. "Do you see now?" he asked, voice steady and strong. "Strength is not in destruction. It is in understanding, control, and partnership. Humans are small, yes, but we are clever, adaptable, and fearless when we protect what we care for. The dragons circled him once, their wings shimmering, scales glinting with light from the floating energy. Every eye in the council hall was on them. Every counselor understood, in that moment, that humans were not to be underestimated. Not by size, not by appearance, not by history. The trial ended. The arena dissolved into nothing, leaving the council in silence. The dragons landed beside Jalen, looking as calm as if nothing had happened. And for the first time in the Grand Assembly's history, a human had not just survived a test designed to humiliate. He had transformed it into proof of power that no alien could ignore. Some counselors whispered fearfully. Others leaned forward, curiosity and caution battling in their minds. The message was clear. Humans, together with their dragons, were clever, unpredictable, and deadly in ways the galaxy had never considered. Jalen smiled faintly. Golden dragon perched lightly on his shoulder, dark blue dragon hovering near. "This is only the beginning," he said quietly. And in the hall, every alien understood that the small human and his dragons were not a curiosity. They were a force to be reckoned with. The grand hall was silent. After witnessing the trials and the dragon's flawless performance, the alien counselors could hardly speak. Their initial mockery had vanished, replaced by disbelief, curiosity, and a quiet, cautious respect. The human they had underestimated was no ordinary being. He stood calmly at the center, golden dragon perched lightly on his shoulder, dark blue dragon hovering near, wings casting faint shimmering shadows across the floor. Jalen raised his hands slightly, drawing the attention of every eye, every tentacle, every crystalline limb in the hall. He had no weapon, no armor, yet his presence carried more authority than anything the council had ever encountered. "I understand why you laughed at humans," he began, voice calm, clear, and perfectly measured in galactic standard. "We are small. We are fragile. By your measures, we seem weak. But strength is not only measured in size, force, or history. Strength is in thinking, in adaptability, and in the courage to act when it matters most." A murmur passed through the council. Many leaned forward, unable to look away. Even the most arrogant among them seemed shaken. They had expected a boastful speech or empty apologies, not words filled with quiet power and undeniable truth. "My dragons," Jalen continued, glancing at them, "are not tools. They are partners. They trust me and I trust them. Together, we solve problems, survive dangers, and create harmony where chaos exists. Intelligence, unity, and respect. These are our weapons, and they are stronger than any force you might think to use against us." The golden dragon chirped softly, and the dark blue dragon hummed in response. The vibrations traveled subtly through the hall, a gentle reminder that the creatures were more than mere companions. They were extensions of thought and understanding. "Your trials were clever," Jalen said, walking slowly through the center of the hall, eyes meeting as many counselors as he could. "They were designed to test strength and obedience. But we do not rely on strength alone. We rely on insight. We rely on intelligence. We rely on cooperation. Humans may appear small, but our minds and our hearts are vast. Our dragons are not weapons, they are part of that understanding. And that is why you saw what you saw today." The council remained silent, absorbing every word. Some counselors whispered among themselves, realizing the truth. This small human had not only survived but had outperformed every expectation, every calculation, every prediction. The aliens who had mocked humanity now recognized it as clever, unpredictable, and profoundly capable. "One more lesson," Jalen said, his voice calm but resonant. "Do not underestimate those who appear weak. Do not judge by size or appearance alone. Look deeper, observe more carefully, and perhaps you will understand the true power that lies in the small, the underestimated, and the unseen." A crystalline counselor floated forward, trembling slightly. You speak not only with words but with understanding. Your dragons, your calmness, it is extraordinary." Why should we not fear you? Jalen smiled faintly. Fear is unnecessary, he replied. Respect is earned through understanding. The galaxy has never seen the full measure of humans because it has looked for strength in the wrong places. Observe us, learn from us, and perhaps you will see that intelligence and unity can accomplish what force cannot. The counselors shifted uneasily. Some were awed. Some were confused. A few seemed afraid, not of violence, but of the clarity of truth in his words. For the first time, the Galactic Council recognized that humans were not merely physical beings. They were thinkers, strategists, and collaborators with forces beyond comprehension. The golden dragon fluttered its wings softly, as if to punctuate Jalen's words. The dark blue dragon's hum resonated gently through the room, creating a subtle vibration that seemed to echo his message in the minds of the counselors. It was not intimidation. It was presence. It was understanding made visible. One of the alien dignitaries, a tentacled being with silver eyes, finally spoke aloud. Your words, they are not threats, yet they carry more weight than any weapon we have known. Humans are cleverer than we imagined. Jalen nodded. Cleverness alone is not enough. We combine it with cooperation, with trust, with patience. The dragons and I are a small example of what humanity can do when we work together. Imagine what an entire species capable of thinking, adapting, and uniting could accomplish. Pause fell across the hall. Every alien was silent, reflecting on the words they had just heard. The human they had mocked, the species they had assumed weak and fragile, had not only survived their tests but had spoken with such clarity and insight that doubt had replaced arrogance. I do not seek conquest, Jalen concluded. I do not seek war. I do not seek to prove myself through destruction. I seek only understanding and perhaps a lesson for the galaxy. Never judge what you do not understand. Strength is not always obvious, but it is present wherever intelligence, unity, and courage exist. The council remained motionless. For a long moment, there was no sound except for the soft flutter of dragon wings. Then, slowly, one by one, counselors began to nod, some in awe, some in hesitant agreement. Laughter, mockery, and disbelief were gone. In their place was the quiet, profound respect that only true understanding can inspire. Jalen stepped back slightly. The dragons hovered near him, radiating calm authority. He had spoken, not with aggression, not with force, but with undeniable insight. He had proved, in the simplest way, that humans were clever, adaptable, and worthy of recognition across the galaxy. The first real change in perception had occurred. Aliens who had once mocked humanity now understood. Humans were not to be underestimated. They were thinkers. They were strategists. They were survivors, and their dragons were the perfect partners to showcase this truth. As Jalen left the center of the hall, the counselors whispered among themselves, awed and uncertain. The golden dragon chirped softly, the dark blue dragon hummed in quiet harmony, and for the first time in Galactic Council history, a single human had altered the perception of an entire species, and perhaps the balance of the galaxy itself. The human beekeeper had spoken, and the galaxy had listened. The grand hall was tense. Every alien counselor had witnessed the human's intelligence, the dragon's subtle power, and the calm dominance of Jalen's presence. But the final test was about to begin, the moment that would decide whether humanity was to be dismissed as a curiosity or recognized as a force the galaxy could no longer ignore. A massive holographic arena unfolded in the center, larger and more dangerous than anything Jalen had faced before. Floating cliffs stretched impossibly high, rivers of glowing energy twisted unpredictably, and spectral predators lunged from every direction. The council expected chaos. They expected fear. They expected a human to fail. Jalen stood calmly, dragons hovering beside him. The golden dragon's scales shimmered in the alien light, wings poised for rapid movement. The dark blue dragon's hum resonated, sending subtle vibrations through the floor, the walls, even the air itself. Their presence alone made the counselors hesitate. You may proceed, one crystalline counselor said, its voice trembling slightly. Show us your final strength. Jalen nodded. This is not about strength, he said quietly, almost to himself. This is about understanding, control, and unity. The arena came alive. Holographic predators charged, energy streams shifted, and platforms spun unpredictably. Jalen moved forward with calm precision. The golden dragon darted ahead, nudging obstacles and intercepting threats before they could reach him. The dark blue dragon hummed, adjusting the flow of energy with subtle waves, guiding Jalen safely through the most dangerous paths. The council watched in stunned silence. Every move was deliberate, every step calculated. The human and his dragons were not merely surviving, they were controlling the chaos with intelligence, timing, and absolute trust. A massive holographic predator lunged toward Jalen, its glowing claws aimed to strike. The golden dragon spun around it, nudging its movements, while the dark blue dragon's hum created a wave of energy that disoriented the beast. Jalen stepped forward calmly, extended his hand, and the predator froze, retreating harmlessly into the air. The council gasped. They had designed this arena to test the limits of any being. None had ever mastered it. None had survived unscathed. And yet, here was a human with two dragons, navigating danger as if it were a simple dance. Impossible, muttered a tentacled alien, its limbs trembling. He is controlling the chaos without force. How? Jalen's eyes swept across the hall. It is not force, he said. It is understanding. Strength comes from knowing how to act, when to act, and whom to trust. Humans are small, yes, but we are clever, adaptable, and relentless when protecting what we care for. The dragons moved in perfect synchronization, circling him protectively, eyes glowing with intelligence. Every counselor could see it. These were not mere creatures. They were partners, extensions of Jalen's mind and strategy. Together, they had turned the most dangerous test into a demonstration of skill, patience, and intelligence. A low murmur ran through the council. They are remarkable, one alien whispered. The human, the dragons together. They are a force we did not predict. The holographic arena dissolved, leaving the hall silent. Jalen stood tall, dragons at his side, radiating calm confidence. The aliens could no longer dismiss humanity. They had seen intellect, strategy, adaptability, and partnership on full display. They had witnessed a species that, despite its small size, could surpass expectations and dominate challenges through intelligence and unity. The crystalline counselor floated forward. Human, you have changed our perception. Not through weapons, not through violence, but through intelligence and trust. Your species is cleverer than we imagined. Jalen nodded. We do not seek conquest or war, he said softly. We seek understanding. Respect is earned through intelligence, cooperation, and the courage to act wisely. Humans, together with those we care for, can accomplish what others might call impossible. Today, you have witnessed just a glimpse. The counselors shifted uneasily. Some were awed, some fearful, some unsure how to respond. The galaxy had underestimated humans for centuries. Mockery and dismissal had been replaced with recognition and caution. Every alien present understood the message. Humanity was clever, adaptable, and unpredictable. The golden dragon chirped softly, wings flaring in a subtle display. The dark blue dragon hummed, vibrating the air gently. Jalen smiled faintly, calm and composed. Together, they had proven a simple truth to the galaxy. Size and history do not define power. Intelligence, unity, and courage do. A whisper ran through the hall. Never underestimate the small. Jalen turned toward the council, his voice carrying clearly, calm yet strong. Humans are not weak because we are small. We are strong because we think, adapt, and unite. And today, we have shown that even the smallest beings, with the right companions and understanding, can stand tall among the stars. For the first time, the counselors felt the full weight of human potential. Not through war, not through aggression, but through partnership, intelligence, and quiet determination. The laughter of mockery was gone. Fear, respect, and awe had taken its place. Jalen and his dragons turned slowly, leaving the center of the hall. The counselors remained silent, watching as the small human and his extraordinary companions walked away, leaving behind a message that would echo across the galaxy. Humanity is clever. Humanity is adaptable. Humanity is not to be underestimated. The human beekeeper had done more than survive. He had reshaped perception, earned recognition, and proven that intelligence, courage, and unity could stand taller than brute strength or centuries of prejudice. And as Jalen and his dragons disappeared from sight, a quiet murmur ran through the grand hall. Humanity stands tall.